We're loading the body, Jack. It's going to the forensic expert immediately. If you still wanted to see things, it's too late.
No problem, Winnie. I saw everything there is to see. Take care of him. Talk to you later, Winnie. I just have some questions to ask you. It seems that you have financial problems, Billy.
No, some small gambling debts, basically.
I was told that you are a gambling addict of sorts.
It's not a secret for anyone. Gambling is stronger than I am.
I see.
What else can I do you for, Inspector?
Excuse me, I am distracted. I have what I need. See you later.
That's okay. Come in, please.
I'm hoping to ask you some questions. Are you aware of what happened between Jones and Miss Baina Jumhu last night?
Inspector, I am aware of the importance of what I am confiding in you. I saw that Baina pushed Walter from the cliff. I saw it with my own eyes from the window of my office. I immediately went to the area to see if I could assist Walter.
Baina seems to have been defending herself against Walter Jones.
I can't swear by it, but I don't think so. A man in a wheelchair does not represent a danger. Moreover, she already had a violent relationship with Walter Jones. It wouldn't surprise me if she started it again.
Tell me about this argument between Baina and Walter Jones.
It's delicate. Let's say that Walter Jones fell in love with Baina. A hopeless and true passion. Touching for a man his age, as you can imagine.
I understand.
What happened between Walter Jones and Baena at the Tortoise Belvedere? It was a dispute with Baena that led to Walter Jones's fall.
Hi, Reeves. The daughter of the fisherman and Walter Jones had a vicious fight, which is presumably what provoked the fall. But I don't know yet if that is what killed him. I'm impatiently waiting for the report of the forensic expert.
Okay. I'll let you know the Chief Butcher's report as soon as I have news.
One hell of a day at work. I'm gonna go and rest a little while waiting for the forensic expert's results. Off to bed. Tomorrow is a new day. And I have this feeling that this investigation is going to have more surprises in store for me. I think.
Hey, Jack. Got you out of bed. I have good and bad news. What should I start with?
The good news.
You're officially named investigating inspector in charge of this case. That's the good news. You'll receive the rogatory commission of the case in 10 minutes by fax. I'll have it sent to Nolan's number. The bad news is that the old man didn't die from his fall. It's not an accident, Jack. You'll discover this yourself from the autopsy report.
Yeah, I see. In fact, you've given me 2 pieces of bad news, Vic. I'll keep you posted.
I just got a fax for you.
Thanks, Noland. Mr. Noland, this rogatory commission henceforth gives me all the powers attached to an official investigator of this case. I would like you to pass on this information to everyone on this island. Apart from that, I need a key card that gives me access to all the rooms of this tower, without any exceptions.
From now on, you're the boss, Inspector. But for the key card, you'll have to ask Lorenzo. He's the one responsible for that.
They made some sort of arrangement, that's certain. Jones was incredibly crafty, even with his own family. Walter Jones was certainly murdered. The bullet in the middle of his chest didn't leave him a chance, so he was still alive after his fall from the edge. It's the impact of the bullet that made him fall lower down. The ocean has covered the whole island. There's something on this windowsill. Well, well, small bits of wood encrusted in the cement of the library windowsill. You see this rogatory commission? Well, it gives me the right to rummage through all the nooks and corners of this tower, including your personal properties and items, take note. You are not a forensic expert, right? So you can't help me at all in interpreting Walter Jones' autopsy report.
Indeed, I won't be of great help to you, Inspector. In any case, I'm extremely surprised that Walter was shot down like a common rabbit. It's utterly stupefying.
The autopsy is categorical. Walter Jones died from a bullet wound in his back, and not as a result of his fall from the Tortoise Belvedere. With all the doubts stemming from the circumstances, Baena has nothing to do with the death. Nevertheless, I would love to have your point of view on this.
I'm extremely surprised by what you're telling me, Inspector. This means Baena couldn't have killed him by throwing him down from the top of the cliff. But you will admit, nothing proves that she didn't finish off poor Walter with a shot. And her father, old Colio, could very well have helped her.
What were you doing at the hour of the crime, around 11 p.m.?
With all due respect, Inspector, let me remind you that I have already explained myself to you.
If the heirs had thought of inheriting, it seems they're off to a rather rocky start. What do you think?
I'll be frank with you, Inspector. Walter Jones was a man I esteemed and respected. But that Walter Jones of whom I speak disappeared long before his death. The truth is that he lost all sense of reality after his terrible accident. The fact of having become handicapped and nailed to his wheelchair made him paranoid and subject to monstrous bouts of rage. Walter Jones became a predator, obsessed by the idea that his own heirs wanted to deprive him of his fortune. He turned into an ogre toward his own descendants. He did all the dirty things one can imagine. He stopped short of nothing to hurt them. And his last act was to manipulate them, to stop them from putting him legally under psychiatric care, by making them believe that they'd inherit from him. I knew that no will existed in their favor, but what could I have done? You should know, Inspector, that Jones considered Sonia and Billy to be a pair of good-for-nothings. And if he believed briefly in Marco, in the end he concluded that the latter was a failure too, because he refused to break off with Christina, whom Walter believed to be an unscrupulous gold digger.
Do you know if Walter Jones was wearing something around his neck on the night of his death?
That evening, I have to admit I didn't pay attention, Inspector. But he usually wore a sort of chain around his neck.
Thank you for the information. Books on very different subjects. In English, in German, in French. There's a Spanish one here. It's strange for someone as organized as Walter Jones. Aha! So you had a secret penchant for the bottle, Mr. Jones. Not bad as a hiding place. Not bad, Mr. Jones. Nice little safari for the entire Jones family. Strange, these drawers are closed and there's no obvious keyhole. Strange, these drawers are closed and there's no obvious keyhole. The caliber of this ammunition is not the same as that of the bullet that was found in Walter Jones's body. The caliber of this ammunition is not the same as that of the bullet that was found in Walter Jones's body. This box of cartridges of the .270 Winchester Short Magnum is open, and it is missing cartridges. 7.03mm caliber. Just like the bullet that killed Jones. I only have to find the weapon that could have shot this bullet. Walter Jones really took care of his weapons. It's impossible. No trace. No trace. No trace. This rifle was used recently. This rifle was bolted and is the only weapon of the right caliber which still has traces of powder. It's better if I take the prints first. Fingerprints on a weapon. This reeks of an amateur. The smooth wood of this weapon rubbed against a rugged surface. Strange, Mr. Jones, that a man as careful as you left such an ugly scrape on your beautiful rifle. The wood of the stock is still dripping with flax oil.
Correct match. Correct match.
But why did you manipulate this rifle, Hubert de Nolant?
Correct match.
The ocean has covered the whole island.
What can I do for you, Inspector?
The resale price of your shares to your boss seems pretty ridiculous, Nolan. It seems like some kind of arrangement between you both. Tell me if I'm mistaken.
The truth is that I am very indebted to Walter Jones in many spheres. Therefore, I voluntarily helped him by ceding him my shares at a moderate price. It was in order to strengthen Walter's position in his own firm in light of the merger with the company World Cement. A plan that was essential for Walter and his family, you understand? How could I not have helped him, Inspector?
This document is crushing, Nolan. What do you have to say in your defense?
Crushing? You're going too far, Inspector. I'm not going to pretend to be a professor of financial economics, but I do know that the CWPF received very handsome dividends, whereas my company suffered terrible setbacks in the financial markets. And I'll add that if the Construction Workers' Pension Fund had really wanted to secure its investments, it ought to have invested in Treasury bonds. The fund couldn't have been ignorant about that. The real victim is not the one we suspect, Inspector.
These documents attest that you had an accomplice and that you personally benefited at the expense of the employees of World Cement by using the company high placement, which you then got rid of. The collection of these proofs could be a very good motive for killing Walter Jones.
Wait a second, Inspector. I willingly acknowledge that I helped my niece find a job. She's a brilliant young girl, and it was unacceptable that she was on unemployment. As for this so-called financial embezzlement, I only paid myself for the worth of my work and my expertise. That doesn't make me a murderer.
Stop making fun of me, Noland. I'm beginning to see clearly through your petty skullduggery. You're going to respond to all of this in front of the court. Be sure of that.
I know the law well, and I know my rights, Inspector. I therefore refuse to continue this interrogation with you. I've nothing more to say to you in this regard.
This transfer of shares reimburses Walter Jones to the penny, the money you embezzled, Mr. Noland.
I have to confess that the facts are against me. I had a long meeting with Walter Jones at the end of the afternoon on the very day of his death, Inspector. Walter was distrustful of everything, myself included. He had financed an investigation of my account, and he discovered what you know. Walter threatened to expose me to the courts. He had me, well and good. The old fox. He demanded that I retroactively transfer my shares in the Jones Company. Well, I drew up the paperwork for the transfer at the end of the afternoon. Walter and I were to have signed it after dinner.
Noland, you had good reason to get rid of Walter Jones. I'm wondering under what circumstances these confessions could have been extracted.
I won't deny that that is my signature. But you should know, Inspector, that these confessions were extracted from me by blackmail. And obviously without any witness, they therefore have no legal value. Inspector Norm, I know that appearances are against me, but I can assure you that I am no murderer.
This man was a damn maniac. He seemed to fuss over these weapons with great diligence.
Walter Jones was a great hunter who did not let anyone take care of the maintenance of his guns. He shut himself for long hours in his office. Later, the whole room smelled of flax oil that he used abundantly to shine the wood of his rifles. I surprised him cleaning his guns the very afternoon of his death when I joined him for work.
Did Walter Jones wear this chain around his neck?
No doubt about it. This one looks a lot like it.
This family photo is very touching. I imagine that you learned to shoot because you have a gun in your hands?
Now, this photo was taken in Tanzania. That year I was very much part of the hunting party, even though I never liked to shoot animals. At the time, Walter loved taking his grandchildren on safari. He maintained that it contributed to their education.
Explain to me why this gun has your fingerprints, Mr. Noland.
I knew that I ought to have told you from the beginning, but I was afraid that you would suspect I was the murderer. When I saw that something was turning out badly between Baina and Walter, I took this rifle and I removed the eyepiece to observe what was going on. Now, I was more than 200 meters away, and it was thanks to this rifle scope that I could distinguish Baina, who was pushing Walter over the edge. But the idea of shooting at Walter never crossed my mind. Why would I have killed him? He who made my career and generously remunerated me for my services.
You already lied to me. Now you want me to believe that you did not make use of this gun? How do you want me to believe you again, Noland? Okay, and supposing I believe you used the rifle as binoculars and not as a weapon, who could have taken the rifle after you and shot Walter Jones?
I didn't run into anyone when I left my office. I'm the only one left in the tower who has a key card to enter this office. I don't understand how Walter Jones could have been killed by this rifle. Please, believe me.
After all, why not?